Oh, that's it. I've had it with this dump. We got no food. We got no jobs. Our pets' heads are falling off. Okay, just calm down.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes. And, we've been following all the news about the comic book industry. Everything's been kind of ramping up. Obviously, we had talked about how Marvel had kind of been dormant. We finally got news about Ten of Swords coming out in September, but we were still waiting for news on Empyre, on X-Men, Dawn of X. A lot of those titles had come out. And finally, we have that news. It's coming out in late July. And here to talk with me about that and a couple other topics is Larry from Larry's Comics. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Wes. Thanks for having me on again. I appreciate it.
Were you starting to get worried about the silence, the cone of silence coming out of Marvel Comics?
I just figured that the rollout was taking time. I'm a little bit surprised at the economy of schedule. I mean, it doesn't seem like there's tons of stuff coming out, and this 1 week comics, 1 week trade paperback thing. I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know how you're going to build any type of momentum doing that. But next week, people are very excited for Venom 25.
Oh yeah, I think there's 25 covers on that bad boy.
We'll carry one, and if you wanted extra ones, we'll do more. I think I'm going to make decisions on people at the racks a little bit easier. We're going to carry,
Yeah, so it seems like people are going to be running their stores now. The market's going to be different. There's going to be a video out actually tomorrow where I talked to Perch about that. But, with the ramp up, it seems like the middle of July into the second half of July is where Marvel is finally bringing out the big guns. I believe it's July 15th. They're rolling out Empyre #1. We're getting some amazing Spider-Man titles like that. Were you expecting Empyre to be like a weekly comic event where it's we're getting 3 issues of Empyre the last half of July, and then we're also getting, I think, another 6 extra like Empyre tie-ins that are just Empyre books, and then like the X-Men stories and everything are tying into it as well. That's a lot of Empyre.
Marvel had a very bloated publishing line, and I think that rolling it out differently, I think that they're going to be taking Empyre, making it weekly. I think that it's going to put the focus on the series, and I think it's going to sell better, and it's going to probably read more cohesively. They've got rid of a lot of the crap. The shelves aren't going to be bogged down with all the titles that nobody was reading. It just seems like they're going to be putting out the meat.
Mm-hmm. So do you think they're doing this weekly Empyre schedule just to get it out of the way so they can go into Ten of Swords? And then I know there's supposed to be another Spider-Man event this year as well. Do you think they're trying to compact the release schedule so they can get all their stuff in before the end of the year?
I think they stopped production for a while. I think they're playing catch up. I mean, Marvel's always shown that they're not shy to publish comics and to flood the shelves. I think they're looking at what they have done and available, and I think they're doing the best they can with what's on hand. I mean, they told people pencils down. So I mean, that's 6 to 8 week delay in their production. So I think they're scrambling to play catch up, and they're just gonna spread stuff out, tweak some events and do their best. I mean, 1 week, I don't know if fans realize, up till July 15th, it's 1 week comics, 1 week collections. So, I mean, it's essentially going to be a skip week the second week if you don't want, if you don't have $150 for an omnibus. I mean, there's no comics coming out.
Yeah, if you're not interested in DC, yeah.
DC has the opportunity to beat their eyes shut right now. I mean, they can really get some momentum.
Yeah, obviously they're hitting with Death Metal in June. July, Joker War starts up. Then we get the next Jeff Johns, Black Label series in August. It seems like they have a kind of a more cohesive strategy than Marvel, but I'm a little bit surprised at some of these Marvel books, like the Hulkling, like special Empyre, like the Empyre Handbook. Like they didn't move those over to digital as well. It felt like they were kind of trimming off the extras, but they're kind of going all in still with Empyre.
You're getting a little peekaboo rope-a-dope every couple days from Marvel and DC. They're not telling you their digital plans. They're just like throwing little news stories and little tidbits out. Like this week, the surprise deceased book that was digital. I mean, we don't know what Marvel's plans are for Empire. Well, I don't care what their digital plans are. I just want to know what their digital plans are at the time when I place my order for the print copies. Don't add elements to the deal after my order's already in.
So you don't like surprise deceased companion books coming out? You don't like other runs that have been going on in your shop being finished off in digital?
Oh, that's terrible. I mean, I had two subscribers that only purchased Spider-Gwen. Now, there's nothing in my store for them now. Spider-Gwen is, digital. They can't.
So their once a month trip is no more. There's no reason for them to come even look.
These are young women who like the character because of the Spider-Verse movie. They came in looking for Spider-Gwen comics, and we've sold them everything. So, I mean, are they gone? Are they coming back? I don't know. Thanks, Marvel.
Well, it's crazy. We don't really know how many people are coming back. Obviously, you're in a even worse position because Massachusetts isn't really letting people open up for business quite yet. It's completely uncertain for you.
Well, let me tell you. My vantage point from the streets of Massachusetts this week was I delivered all my subscriptions to all my customers. We have no Mass isn't open to retail traffic. You can only do curbside pickup or delivery. All the subscribers are asking questions constantly. I mean, nobody seems to have gone away. What is crushing right now is sales on add-on type material or maybe new material, stuff that people like to peruse. Comics are a visual medium. People like to come through, actually pick it up, poke around, see if they like it. I noticed like this week, Image book, Ludocrats. I did terrible with add-on sales for that. I didn't feature it in my newsletter. My newsletter this week, I featured Robert Venditti. He had 3 books out. He had Hawkman, he had JLA, and he had the Freedom Fighters trade paperback. So we got add-on sales from that. But it's very hard right now in the position I'm in to grow a new title. People, if they can't poke around and see it, they ain't going to buy it. And you can't feature everything every week. You have to, people will get burned out if you're, trying to sell every single item.
Absolutely. So I'm not sure what the sales like were at your store beforehand. Obviously, it felt like Dawn of X was the real engine that was fueling Marvel before everything happened. But when we saw the ramp up, there was a couple of Dawn of X titles, but none of the big hitters. We're finally getting X-Men back in middle of or at the end of July. We're getting the first issue of X Factor. We're getting that X-Men Fantastic Four miniseries wrapping up. Finally, we're getting that Wolverine series. Are you excited for that? Do you think that's going to drive more people in? People have been waiting for those titles.
The X title, my store might be a bit of an anomaly. X titles weren't the top selling book at my store when it closed. It was Thor. Thor had dethroned X-Men as the top selling title. The Dawn of X titles were starting to settle down to people were saying like, what the hell? This isn't Jonathan Hickman. I mean, they took the House of X, Powers of X run that was incredibly well received and just diluted it beyond any recognition. In my opinion, the X titles were starting to see a massive drop off, except for the few quality ones. Wolverine started out great.
Yeah. X-Force started out really good, but it had kind of like was on a downslope before all this happened. And then X-Men has been so schizophrenic. You get a couple of just crap issues, and then you get a couple of just winners, and it's another crap issue, and you're like, can we get some stability here? Like just some type of quality control in that. I don't know. It does feel like Jonathan Hickman's might be like have his eye somewhere else.
I think I'm suspect that Jonathan Hickman, they hired his name. Like he wrote the House of X, Powers of X, and it's almost like he co-wrote everything else that he had his name on. I haven't had one book after House of X, Powers of X that has just felt like it was a core Hickman book. To me, it's all felt like it was Hickman and somebody else involved. Maybe
there was a couple of those X-Men issues that tied into House of X, Powers of 10 that I was like, that was excellent. This feels like what I was in. This feels like what I was showing up to the party for, but it's been so few and farther between. And a lot of the associated titles, other than X-Force and Wolverine, I just really haven't even enjoyed it all. But
all right, that was the classic post-COVID Marvel, all right, where they were just carpet bombing the world. They had success with House of X, Powers of X, and then they just pounded us with all these X titles that nobody could, that didn't hold up the quality and people just couldn't absorb them. Maybe the post-COVID Marvel plans, maybe we're going to get a very tight Empyre run, and all the crossovers are going to be really well written and tight, and that'll build momentum.
I'm not a big fan of Al Ewing, and I'm certainly not a fan of Dan Slott right now. Although Al Ewing's run on Immortal Hulk was absolutely fantastic for about 20 issues. But they have so many great writers on the Empyre series, and I never see them promoting them. You got a Chip Zdarsky book in there. I think Ram V is writing some of the books, and they have some really good artists as well. And it doesn't feel like they're really selling it on the quality, the amount of talent they actually have on that miniseries. You only see Al Ewing and Dan Slott.
One thing that I'm wary of is when you see co-written. I, in general, I don't like comic books that are co-written. That just signals trouble. I'm
with you. I remember I was excited for that Marvel Knights 25th anniversary, Donny Cates, and then every issue was co-written with somebody else. And I was like, this is the worst thing I've ever read from Donny Cates, period. Every issue was bad.
If you see co-written, you should always flip through and make a educated, informed decision whether you buy it.
Yeah, I made an educated, informed decision after 3 issues to bounce. This is crap.
Marvel doesn't seem to want to promote any artists because, in the 90s, they created the Image guys. They felt like their characters gave those guys their jumping off point to go and form their competition. And then the second wave of talent that filled in for the Image guys all ended up taking off, and they felt that by promoting the artists that they raised the price of the talent. So now they try not to promote the artists.
Yeah, you don't get these great runs with a great writer and an artist where you're like, oh, a nice 2-year arc where they're just running on all cylinders. You're always bouncing around. Even like a Marco Cicchetto, who's not really a huge name, but in my opinion, he's like the first or second best artist at Marvel right now. He's not even consistently on Daredevil. He's in there every other story arc. Yeah,
they try. They don't. They're letting Ryan Stegman, stay on titles. He's, I think, the only real superstar artist that they have right now. I mean, they have some other solid artists, but he's the only one that I would consider to be a superstar.
Yeah, I mean, Mark Bagley's always kind of bouncing around between titles. Even Steve McNiven, who certainly had some huge stories, but he's never on anything consistent.
He can't. McNiven's problem is output. I mean, he can't put him on a monthly book because he can't get it out. But you had mentioned Dan Slott and Al Ewing. You don't like their writing, or you don't like them. But one thing I try to do is I try to separate the art from the artist, because if you follow those guys online, I mean, they can be dinks. I think they both have me blocked on Twitter.
I learned a while back. I don't even really follow artists that I know are jerks. It's not worth my time. I don't want the headache.
I hear you there, buddy.
But I've been reading Dan Slott's like Iron Man 2020. I read a little bit of his Iron Man and his Fantastic Four. And his Spider-Man. I think he's just, I don't know. He's not on his game. But like I said, Al Ewing's Immortal Hulk run there for like 20 issues was the best comic in the entire industry. And it just kind of fell off leading up into Immortal Hulk 25.
I think Alex Ross is doing the work of his career on the covers too. I mean, that's a run of covers. Yeah. I mean, just even if the book wasn't good, people are compelled to pick it up. The books are just beautiful.
And one of the few Marvel books where like Joe Bennett's interior art is just spectacular. Those double page spreads of the Hulk, like doing all the kinds of weird monstering out stuff. Oh, the art in those books is just phenomenal.
Yep. Well, right now with, the network of direct market stores and a lot of them not being open for browsing, I think it's really important for creators. If you have a new title that's going out there, promote, tell people that they want it, because shops can only focus on so much every week. Like I said, this week I chose to focus on Robert Venditti and to, promote and try to hand sell some of his stuff. And some of the new launches, some of the new number ones didn't do great for me. Maybe they will once people can come in and flip through them, but I think it's going to be a tough time especially the next month to be launching something new. So if you're a publisher, you're a creator, if you've got a new title coming out, promote it and send traffic into the shops. We need your help now.
Absolutely. They should be trying to find spots on bigger YouTube channels, obviously using social media, things like that, and
Call Wes.
Find any opportunity. Hey, you can definitely come on the show.
Got a title, give Wes a call. He'll have you on.
Mm-hmm. So we know that this was the first week that Diamond Comics came back online. We'll finish up talking about this. What was your experience? Was it business as usual?
Nope,
was it
not
a little
business
bit
as usual. Maybe 24 New England shops. We get a truck from Plattsburgh, so we can circumvent UPS. UPS usually manhandles books. You want to get your books nice. So we usually get a truck from their Plattsburgh warehouse. Their Plattsburgh warehouse is still shut down because of, state ordered shutdowns. Our stuff came on a FedEx truck. We all met at the drop point, and we got a FedEx truck from, I assume, Memphis, from Diamond, and the boxes just came in pristine. I mean, they got loaded onto this truck. I think the truck was just for us, and it was fantastic.
Well, that is great news. I've heard some other people were having, not the same exact experience, but I guess FedEx is the way to go over UPS.
I prefer just a trucking company. Now, where I'm happy with the quality of shipment from FedEx, next week when we get the bill, I'm sure it's probably going to be triple the price. I mean, FedEx is, known to be an expensive shipping company. So I'm not excited to get the bill. I was excited to get the books.
Mm-hmm. And hopefully your customers were excited to finally have some new comics. Obviously, I don't know if you signed up for the
thrilled.
New... Yeah.
Thrilled. People, I mean, enthusiasm for new books to continue is off the charts here with my people. Every single one of them is excited. I mean, they cannot wait to be able to come in and to just get back to a sense of normalcy and, go to a comic shop.
Absolutely. Thankfully, things are getting back to normal. Obviously, every place is going at their own pace because they all have their own unique issues as far as local governance or different amounts of outbreak and stuff like that. Hopefully, Massachusetts will be opening up soon, and you can open your doors and maybe show some people those.
I know
those
that
ludicrous
bordering
comments.
state, New Hampshire, opened this weekend, and my friend, his shop on Saturday, you can only have 10 people in the store. He had a waiting line to get into his store all day. I mean, don't underestimate the enthusiasm of comic book fans. I mean, all the fans that were here before are coming back, and they can't wait to get in.
Well, I can tell you this, as these things have happened, my audience, my viewing audience seems to have grown a bit. People have been looking and clamoring for information about what's going on with comic books. And obviously we've been covering it here, and it seems like people are ready to get back on the wagon again and start buying comic books. And that's great news. Larry, is there anything else?
You are part of the new comic book industry, Wes. YouTube videos about what's going on are so timely and so relevant. That's how you guys have kept the existing customer base informed and entertained throughout this. And I just think that the future for your channel and channels like this is just that the sky's the limit, man. People, this is a new form of entertainment for the industry.
Well, I
News and
appreciate
entertainment.
that, and if it's only because of people like you and the retailers like Perch and Yule Carter, and obviously the super fans like Doc that are willing to come on the channel and really make everything interesting, but being passionate about the information that we're presenting. Because if we were really boring, it wouldn't be a very exciting show.
I'm very boring,
but I
anyway,
don't think so.
It's exciting. Comics are back, man. Wherever you are, go out, see if there's something for you. Pick up a book.